Are you looking to take your personal finances to the next level? You're in the right place. Welcome to the Monday Money Tip Podcast, presented by I Was Broke, Now I'm Not, with your host, Joseph Sangle.
Well, welcome to the Monday Money Tip Podcast, presented by I Was Broke, Now I'm Not. My name is Joseph Sangle. I'm joined, as always, by Megan Hibbard. Are you fired up today?
Fired up.
It's Monday.
Another Monday.
Monday, middle of October. Hopefully you're experiencing some leaf changes. You know, what's crazy, speaking of leaf changes, about a month ago, I got to go to Alaska, and they had a snow. Like right now is the time they normally get snow, is their first big snows, but they had their first big snow, and some of the leaves were still green, but most of them were all this beautiful yellow.
Oh, wow.
And they're all up on the hips of the mountains, all the yellows, and then all this beautiful snow on top of it. Just spectacular. But I hope that you're enjoying the leaves. The leaves are turning colors here in South Carolina. It is my favorite season of the year. Is it your favorite season?
I like summer.
You do?
Yeah.
Inferno, you mean? That's awesome.
I do like fall. Fall is a good season.
All right, if you're watching on YouTube, comment on which is your favorite season and tell everyone how right I am and how wrong Megan might be. Or you can agree with Megan. That'd be awesome. She likes the beach a lot.
I do.
Okay, so tell everybody what we're going to talk about this week. I think it's something everybody's going to be interested in.
Yes. So today we're talking about how to negotiate a pay raise. So our question is, any tips on negotiating a pay raise?
Yes. And all of the employees of the company are paying attention. This will be awesome. So before we do that, though, we're going to talk about one of my favorite sections of the podcast. You know what that is. It is time to go.
Now it's time to get caught up with our current money events.
The Monday Money Tip Podcast is sponsored by the Fully Funded Life Membership Program. The Fully Funded Life Membership Program provides all you need to begin winning with money and live a fully funded life. Fully Funded Life includes 4 key components: courses, challenges, coaching, and community. Courses provide financial education. Challenges help you make massive progress in a specific money skill. Coaching is provided by the Fully Funded Life Certified Coaches through open office hours held multiple times each month. All of the courses, challenges, and coaching results in an outstanding community that help equip, motivate, and encourage you to take your next financial steps toward your fully funded life. Fully Funded Life. Courses, challenges, coaching, community. All that's missing is you. Learn more and receive a special offer for Monday Money Tip listeners today at fullyfunded.life/MMT. That's www.fullyfunded.life/MMT. Well, I am so fired up to be able to talk about unemployment levels. We have saw unemployment do some crazy things.
It has.
Over the course of whatever, and I'm going to pull up some charts here. This is from the Fred.
The Fred.
Yeah, so this is from our beautiful labor site. It's from the Federal Reserve and the St. Louis Federal Reserve, to be specific, which is a series of banks. And I've got a link so that you can pull this up. If you are having sleeping issues, you can pull up this website and it will help you sleep. But the first chart that I wanted to show you is the federal unemployment rate. Now, I'm going to show it to Megan here. We're going to have it on the screen for you. And while you look at it on the screen, we're going to have Megan look at it. And what do you see happening? What has happened in the past year, the 1 year?
It's gone down.
It's gone down. Isn't that awesome?
Yeah.
So unemployment is now at 5.2%. That's pretty amazing. But if you look back here, you've got a little slider here at the bottom. You can see there's a big peak. It went to about 16 or 17%. In fact, I wanted to show you the whole chart I think it's for the last 5 years. And here it is. You see this? What do you see?
There was a massive spike.
Yeah. So this was in the middle of the great pandemic.
Yeah.
When it first hit and they shut everything down. And the 15 days to flatten the curve. Was it 15 days or 14 days? 15 days.
15.
I think it was 15 days,
15
14 days, 15 days to flatten the curve. I saw a good meme that says the hardest part of the 15 days to flatten the curve has been the 500 days part. And it's kind of true. But there's a huge spike. You can see this. And it really would have been triple that probably.
Yeah.
If they had not done the payroll protection program, which functionally kept employees working at their companies, even if there was no work to do,
right?
So that the employees wouldn't be scattered everywhere, and regathering a team, very difficult if you had to say goodbye to them and they went on unemployment.
Yeah.
And so I feel like it's been very successful. Our organization was a beneficiary of the payroll protection program, and every dollar went back out to the employees. And I remember distinctly when we got our first round of it, we were able to go back. We had implemented some pay cuts. We were able to make that up. And then we got round 2 for one of our organizations, 2 of them actually, out of the 3 that were eligible initially. And it has, again, been able to boost our ability to keep people employed because we serve churches, we serve individuals, we travel a lot speaking and teaching,
That's right.
and
Yep.
we couldn't do that due to COVID.
Nope.
And so it's allowed us to keep our team together. And so I just thought I would just share this. I think it's an excellent thing. I think everywhere I've been, and I've traveled the ends of America, there are for hire signs everywhere.
Everywhere.
Our local town is paying $16, $17 an hour to drive a school bus.
Yeah.
Which, in some cities that may not go far, but in Anderson, South Carolina, $16, $17 an hour goes a long ways.
And everywhere you see like $500 sign-on bonus or like
And
all these like perks.
We have fast food restaurants that are shutting at 5 p.m. because they don't have enough people.
It's crazy.
Bojangles.
Yeah.
You can't get Bojangles after 5 p.m. except for at one of their locations in town. Same thing for Chick-fil-A. They are closing at 9 p.m.
Wow.
And they're going to drive through only after a certain period of time because they can't find enough staff. It's pretty unbelievable. And so I thought I would just share it because it really is something that is a success story, I think. I think in 2008 and 9, we had this big bailout of the banks. And they basically told all of us ordinary citizens, hey, we're bailing out the banks and trust us. It's very complex, but we needed to do that. And I think every citizen was like, yeah, right.
Yeah. What about us?
Even though it might be right. But this time, money went into the pockets of everyone. And, hey, look, we can argue about national debt and all that stuff, but at least this time we know people who got dollars, and that's a great thing.
Yep.
So that's it for today's Current Money Events section, where we talk about right now relevant stuff like unemployment rates.
Yep. All right. Our success story today is from Grace, and she wrote us to say, we have been blessed this year as my husband got a job offer in New York. We have been taking the money and paying bills. I also transferred a few credit cards to no interest accounts through December 2022. We have paid in full on 10 accounts totaling at least $40,000. And I already have most of my Christmas shopping done for 5 children, 3 mates, 8 grandchildren, and 3 great-grandchildren. I was so blessed when I got to see you and take your class and what is that one?
In Oahu.
Thank you. You know one of those things when you see a word and you're like, I know that word, I just cannot say it.
We didn't. In fairness,
there was
for
not
all
the
beautiful people of
there's not
Oahu.
the,
We didn't put the apostrophe in there properly.
Yes, sorry. At New Hope Church in 2018, we are also giving 10% to the church. We learned so much. Don't laugh. It's a real thing. Sometimes when you cannot say a word. I now have about $35,000 put in savings, and my husband started a fund at work and with about $6,500 in it. And we never were able to do this in the past.
That's incredible. First off, I want to go back to this. How does that go? Oahu. Hey, look, true or false, when you saw the name, you knew you wanted to go there.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, you knew that.
I knew it was in Hawaii. My brain just could not function and say what the name was.
I love that. That's awesome. So that's just funny. We love to make fun of Megan here. Megan, you can make fun of me too. That'd be awesome. Yeah. But it is incredible. Grace has said some incredible things. So one of the things that's interesting is she said her husband got a job offer in New York, but she didn't say they moved there. So I don't know if they moved there or not.
Yeah.
But I would say the cost of living in New York is very comparable to living in Oahu. And they've been able to take this money and really pay some bills. And they transferred a few credit cards to no interest and have paid in full on 10 of them, at least $40K. That only happens through great focus. I mean, that just does not happen. And it also says that they were able to see us and take the class at this great church in Oahu, New Hope Church. Pastor Wayne Cordero, John Tilton, and John Burgess was there at the time. And they're also giving the tithe to their church, and now they have money in savings. I mean, and the big statement that's there says we never were able to do this in the past. And I always say this, there's a verse in the Bible that says something about, and how will they know unless they have a teacher? Right, that verse? And I think it is such a great statement. Also in Hosea 4:6, I believe it is, says, my people perish for lack of knowledge. And Proverbs 4:7 says the beginning of wisdom is this, get wisdom. Though it cost all you have, get understanding. I really feel like what we do, if you really boil it down, is we put information in front of people in very relevant, digestible pieces. That's what we hope to do with the podcast.
Practical steps.
Yeah, so that people can run with it, and then we don't have to do the work. You do the work. You and Jordan do the work in your household.
Yeah.
Jenny and I do the work in our household. Because once you have knowledge, though, it's literally like scales fall off your eyes. You see that thing differently, in this case, finances, and say, this way is chaos. This way is stress and anxiety. This way is more peaceable. This way has less stress. Mm-hmm. This way allows me to fund dreams. I think I'll try that.
Yeah.
And it always requires a pivot. It requires movement. And that's why I say, moving takes effort. You moved recently.
We did, yeah, about a year ago.
How did you move? Did you rent something or did you get friends involved? How did you move?
We rented a storage unit and started slowly moving things. And then we rented a U-Haul the day it was time, like the day of the move. Because we closed on one house and we closed on our houses the same day. So we had to be out of our old house and into the new house on the same day. So there was no overlap of we can just slowly move our stuff in. What a dream that would have been. But so
is it most of your stuff in a truck at that moment?
Most of our stuff was in a storage unit.
Okay.
And then the bare minimum was in a truck. And then we went to the storage unit and got everything out.
So true or false, moving took effort.
True.
Moving took a lot of coordination.
True.
Communication.
True.
Moving took dollars.
True.
Moving kind of drove you crazy a little bit.
Yeah, very true.
Okay. And it's chaos, right?
Yeah.
So how long did it take you to be resettled into your house, your new home?
I mean, a couple months for sure.
Yeah.
A while.
So think about this. This is what I want to say about Grace is, she took a step and we were a catalytic moment, but then she took a step to move. And that's what I always say for people. If you want to see true financial progress take place, you're going to have to move. And moving is difficult and challenging. But at the end, do you like your house better?
I love it.
You love it so much better. I know we've heard a lot about it, and you enjoy your neighborhood, the neighbors, and I'm sure Logan has adapted wonderfully, and your puppy has got more space to run, and you don't have that flooding area that you used to have, right? All the stuff I heard you talk about. So moving is worth it.
Yeah.
So do what Grace and her husband did. I remember a recent podcast where you talked about how I feel like the wife is always unnamed. Yeah. In this case, the husband's unnamed. Proof and evidence.
That's right.
Right? There we go. And Grace's husband, unnamed.
Unnamed.
But very much important, that they have made huge progress. Why? Because they chose to embrace the weirdness, the awkwardness, the frustration of moving. And because they did it, they're in a better place now. They're in a better financial neighborhood. Get fired up.
Yep. All right. Our question for today is, any tips for negotiating a pay raise?
Who's asking this? Is this you? Did you ask this?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, I thought this is really good. No, we don't have any tips. That's it for the podcast. No. Let's start by sharing some common mistakes made by people seeking a pay raise.
Yes.
Okay. So some of the common mistakes are...
Yep. So the first one is, I need a raise to sustain my lifestyle.
Okay. So if you come to your leader and say, I need a raise because my lifestyle demands it, do you think your leader is going to be inspired to donate more money your way?
No.
No. Why?
Because it's all about you. It's not about what you bring to the company or what you're doing or
the value you
your
bring
work.
to the organization.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So I hate to tell you this, but your leader... They care about you, but they don't care
about your lifestyle.
They can't care only about you.
Yeah.
Right? They are a leader, and they have many competing things for the dollars. Mm-hmm. Yes, to pay you, but also to pay for whatever that thing is that your organization does, the service or product that it manufactures and delivers. And so that won't work. So that's a big mistake. Don't say that. I know they care about you, but I'm just going to say it this way. They don't care only about you.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. The next one is, I deserve a raise because you gave a raise to unnamed coworker.
Yeah, that's right. So I deserve a raise because you gave someone, well, guess what? that could cause you to say, I want to have a conversation, right?
Yeah.
But I don't view it as a positive thing when you're going to your leader and saying that. I think a better approach is what we're going to share here a little later, because the so-called, hey, I should get the equal amount of that person. Do you know all the value they bring to the company? Do they bring more value? Have they done something that has brought more value to the organization? I don't know. Have they completed a new certification that allows them to do more work? Have they resolved conflicts at a better level? That sort of thing. Okay, right. Another mistake.
Next one. My boss is my friend, so he or she should give me a raise.
Yeah, there we go. So this is always a weird situation when the boss is also like a best friend. That is really awkward. And a lot of times that crosses over into the workplace, and it's like, hey, well, I'm your buddy. I deserve a raise, right? Well, while I've seen people who seem to stay on the team simply because they are best friends with the leader, I think we maybe have all have seen this in our past.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily, it's not a good, it's probably a mistake to use that as the reason to give me a raise. You're my friend, give me a raise. Okay?
All right, the last one. I'll wait until they recognize my good work, and then I'll ask for a raise.
Oh, I'll wait until they recognize my good work, and then I'll ask for a raise. This is unfortunately a mistake made by many organizations, and that is that people do really good work, and they don't like confrontation. This feels very confrontational.
Yeah.
Yes?
Yes.
True. And so they don't like that. And so they just say, well, I'm going to work really hard and I'm going to not cause problems. And they'll recognize that and they'll compensate me for it. And unfortunately, I've seen many people do excellent work and they work for 10 or 15 years and it just doesn't get recognized.
Yeah.
And then it's called getting taken advantage of.
Yeah.
And so I think those are 4 mistakes, that we should not make. I need a raise to sustain my lifestyle. I deserve a raise because you just gave one to so-and-so. Hey, you're my buddy. You're my boss and my friend, so you should give me a raise. And another one is, I'm just going to wait around. Somebody will recognize it and give me some extra money. Yeah. Okay. So now that we've carried some mistakes, let's give some tips to unnamed anonymous asker of question. Any tips for negotiating a pay raise?
All right. Number 1, understand current market value of your work.
Right. So what is the market value for your work? Do you know? Let me tell you a great place to find out. Megan's going to tell you.
Yes. So salary.com is an excellent place to start.
Salary.com. We'll have it in the show notes. Salary.com is excellent in that you can type in different job descriptions, because, a lot of times your job can be described as 3 or 4 things. What are all the jobs that you could be described as?
Podcast host, marketing, editing, designer.
What would it be? You create a bunch of our web work.
Yeah. Website designer.
Yeah. So, and you do IT work even on website domain management and things like that.
That's true.
Right? So you can look up all those things and it can give you a really good idea for your area of the country, what the first, second, third, and fourth quartile of pay is for that. That can be excellent research that can give you confidence that says, hey, we need to have a conversation. And then you're coming at it with data, with facts. Okay, it's really important. And I think a lot of times leaders don't understand what they have until the person says, I'm leaving. And then they go to replace that person and they have to pay 2x because they got lulled to sleep. They did not understand truly the market value of that person. They would rather give that money to that person, have them come back.
Right.
But once that breaks, that's a hard thing to recover from.
Yep.
So understand your current market value of your work. That matters a lot. And by the way, increase that value, right, by getting new skill sets, new talents, new abilities, and that increases your market value.
Yep. All right. Number 2, understand value of your work to your organization.
Right. So understand the value of your work to your actual organization. So here's some good questions. And maybe we should have this as a little, just put all these in the show notes, just kind of copy this. But here's some good questions. Do you resolve conflict? If you do, that's valuable. Do you lead people? That's very valuable. We say all the time, all the time I say it, this work would be easy if we didn't have to deal with people. It would just be so easy. But you know what? People is the joy of it. But leading people is challenging. Another question is, does your work lead to direct production of dollars for your organization? If direct matters a lot. So does any of your work lead to direct production of dollars?
Yes.
Yes. So you create sales pages.
I create sales pages. I send out broadcast emails. So if you receive an email from us, most of the time it's coming through me. It comes from Joe. Joe writes the email and then I send it. So I can correlate an email that I sent to dollars that come in to products we've sold or books we've sold or fully funded life memberships or something like that.
And do you get paid dollars in return?
I mean, I get paid dollars, but
yeah, that's awesome. So because you have direct production of dollars, you get dollars.
Yeah.
It's an amazing thing. And as you can tie your ability to produce those dollars, the more you're able to tie it, this is a tip for preparing for your conversation with data. Another one is, does your work help advance your organization forward toward its mission and vision? So how does the work you do today, you're driving to work, maybe it's Monday, maybe you're avoiding work and listening to this instead. How does your work help advance your organization forward towards its stated mission and vision? Write that stuff down. Don't go into this conversation unprepared. Yeah. Have it written down. How do you lead to direct production of dollars? Do you resolve conflict? Do you lead people? And how do you advance the mission and vision of the organization? Another one is, what are specific skills, abilities, and talents you possess that advance your organization forward? What are those? So name some of the ones that you bring, and then I'll name some of the ones that I feel like I bring.
So design work.
Design work.
Yeah.
Graphic design work.
Graphic design work.
For print media,
for
web
print,
media?
Yep. And then also video.
Database administration.
Yes. So I handle our database. So we use a software called Infusionsoft. So I manage that.
It's like Salesforce, but for smaller entrepreneurial organizations.
Yeah. It's hard to talk about yourself sometimes.
Yeah. You do lead page development, lead generation, and lead nurturing activities.
A lot of design. So designing from website based, designing from print based, designing from like our website, our lead pages, like sales pages that you see, different stuff like that. Print material, if we design banners or logos, a lot of times I'm designing those. So a lot of design work that encompasses different aspects.
You
of the
do
organization.
video editing?
Video editing, I do. I'm a podcast host.
Yep, podcast host. So, those are ones that help advance our organization forward. And so I feel like my skills and abilities that help advance it forward is I'm a writer. I feel like content writing is one big thing I bring. Public speaking, podcast host. I also can, for some reason, they let me carry a stage. And so I can be a public presenter of our information. And I also think what I bring to the organization is vision for, hey, here's where we're headed. And then
helpful.
You guys talk me out of going crazy. And then another question to ask, and these 6 questions, I really think you should go download these from the show notes, or if you're on YouTube, we'll have a link to it there as well. But this is the 6th question, which is, what are some specific instances in which you have added significant value to your organization?
Yeah.
So we all have magic moments.
Yeah. So a lot of times it could be like maybe a big project you're working on. So we've had a lot of instances where huge projects have happened and a lot of work was put in by multiple members of our team, but each member can pinpoint, this is the contribution that I made to this project. This is what I brought to the table. This is the part of the project that I worked on. That could be an example if it's like a big project that you're working on with a team, or maybe you're doing the project by yourself. That could be an example.
Yeah. And like for you, because yours is, it's physically able to be represented, right? Mm-hmm. You can pull up this web page, this lead page. I created this campaign, email marketing campaign. And so I would encourage you, if you're listening to this podcast, you're thinking about asking for a raise, get physical representations of them if you can, those specific instances. I'll never forget this one time in engineering world. We had launched a brand new product. It was a fire retardant circuit board and this substrate material. And it was a very important development so that if a circuit board got too hot, it wouldn't catch fire. It's a big issue.
It does sound important.
And so this was kind of a fire retardant one, a better insulator, but we launched it before it was really production worthy. And we kept having issues with the raw materials. It seemed different every single time. And I did some very detailed math and experimentation, something called a designed of experiment, a DOE. It's a multi-factor statistical analysis. You can do 2 sample t-tests with 95% confidence intervals. Some engineers are loving what I'm talking about right now. Anyhow, we were able to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that the issue was coming from our supplier, a very large Fortune 100 company. We were a Fortune 250 company, so we weren't chopped liver. But I was able to prove it beyond a shadow of a doubt and got a $60,000 rebate paid to our company.
Wow.
That got people's attention. And it boosted credibility for me as an individual, but it also made our product so much better because they were able to say, you know what, that is an issue. Let's fix it. And it became a runaway successful product. That was just one of the iterations to improve it. So that's a way that you added significant value. So once you have understood the value of your work to your organization, you've written it down. I encourage you to do that. Then what do you do?
Yep. So the next one is understand timing.
Yes.
Timing is key.
Yeah. So you got to understand timing. Is there a standardized process already in place for reviewing compensation? If there is, and it's not every 21 years, it's every year, I would use that as the place for that conversation. It's natural. Are there any mitigating factors in place you should be aware of? For example, if your leader that you report to currently is going through chaos in their own life, probably not a good time to ask the question. Like if they're moving, if they're going through divorce, right? If they're out on maternity leave, it's not a good time to call them, right?
That would be so terrible.
We talk about mitigating factors. COVID has become a mitigating factor.
Yes.
Some organizations have made more money they ever dreamed of as part of the pandemic. Others, they're like, I'm not sure we have a business right now. And so you got to understand mitigating factors, and I can't name them all, but you can certainly it's called being situationally aware. Be situationally aware.
Yep.
And have you ever asked for a raise, like at your previous employers?
I don't think I think most of my employers, it always happened naturally. So it was
Natural review.
It was like a year review when it would happen, or like a big project I would work on and I would get a raise because of that, or something like that. But I was never a situation where I felt like I had to ask because it was a natural progression.
Yeah. So, and we've certainly had conversations about compensation.
Yep.
And we had a standardized process until COVID. And I've just told the team that we're reenacting it starting in January of next year because it's got to happen.
Yeah.
But you got to understand timing. Make sure the timing is right. Don't go in when they're angry. Just be situationally aware.
Yep.
And then what's the big one that comes?
Yes. So number 4 is to have the conversation.
Yes. And so one thing that I always did, I had to have this conversation one real serious time. I remember they gave me another senior leadership role and they just merged it with my existing one and gave no increase. And so what I would say is have the conversation and don't put the press on saying, I need it now or else. I instead say, hey, there is a date certain. That's the key. Say that word, a date certain.
A date certain.
It means, hey, I'm not asking for it today, but I'm telling you in 6 weeks, when I come in here, we're going to have this conversation again. It's going to happen again. 6 weeks from today, it's going to be on, I don't know, I'm going to make it up here. We're on October 18th. So, December 1, I'm going to come in here. And if you have not addressed this, we're going to have a serious talk.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be righteously indignant, something like that. Say with a little bit of smile, a little bit of charm, I guess. But you need to have a date certain because, your leader, you have to recognize, that causes conversations to take place. And I remember that moment for me when I got this promotion alleged, no compensation increase. And I went in to my leader and said, hey, now, this is a grade level 12 job. This is a grade level 12 job. And he said, well, those two combined don't equal a grade 14 job. They're still a grade 12 job. I said, but 12 plus 12, it easily equals 13. And, I was just like, if you're doing weird math, I'm going to do weird math.
That math is off.
And I'm not going to do it. And I really feel like one of the mistakes that I made, it was accepting the promotion without the compensation increase. But I set a 6-week timeline, and then I came in 5 weeks later. I came in about 3 weeks later. And, hey, I'm working on it. I've got some motion. It's hard. That's awesome. Man, I really appreciate it. I encourage them in the hardness.
Yeah.
And you know what? I didn't ever have to have the righteously indignant conversation.
There you go.
So it worked out. But I came in with this preparation. I understood timing and all that. And so let's give some other tips to people.
All right. So first one is force a pay raise by increasing your education or adding to your skill set. So certifications, experience level. Many teachers are able to increase their compensation by completing advanced education and certifications.
Yeah, so you want a pay raise, force one. I remember our organization, I was working for this large company, global corporation, and they offered free higher education. Now, you had to take the class, pay for the class, then prove that you passed, then they would give you your money back. Well, they had this thing that if you got a degree, they would give you a $5,000 bonus just for getting the degree. Well, I'm going to go do that. You're going to pay for me to get my MBA, and then you're going to give me a $5,000 bonus, and then guess what? You're probably going to promote me or put me in some other job that uses that degree. And so they did, and it equaled a pay raise. Teachers have the same thing. Many people can increase their education level and get a pay raise just forced by it. So I like that. And here's another tip. Are you on commission? Force a pay raise by increasing your good activity level so that your productivity increases. I think that's the hardest thing for a lot of commission salespeople. Real estate, commission sales. It's hard sometimes because sales is hard.
Yeah.
And increasing activity level, it doesn't always seem like more activity here equals more results here.
Right.
But it can. And we know that right behavior, right activity will ultimately lead to more productivity.
Yep.
What else?
All right. Another one is don't like the net result of your conversation. Consider leaving for a higher paying job. Just be certain to evaluate all of your other components of the new position: coworkers, the work itself, benefits, culture, etc.
Right. So if you don't like how the conversation went, you can leave. But I do think it is important to evaluate, hey, who you're going to be working with, where the work is geographically, the benefits, the culture. Because I've seen people leave for more money, and the money was not enough because they left a wonderful work environment that they truly enjoyed. And all of a sudden they're like, I have made a mistake.
Right.
Now, not all of them have done that. Some of them went to their job and they have not made a mistake. And so sometimes that is the result of the conversation, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. Another one is provide time for a final decision. No one likes being forced to do anything. Recognize that your leader may have to go through like a approval process, or it might be
tough one.
It might be harder. It might be harder for them to just say like, oh yeah, I can cross this off and I can write you a check for more money, but they might have to go through a process or get it approved. Maybe you have a board they have to go to.
That can be very tedious.
There's lots of different things that could happen that aren't just them not wanting to do it. But
right. And so that's really important. So that 6 weeks example that I gave, that's a really good way to have that conversation. And hopefully it'll work out. And so, man, I feel like we gave some great information here. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so too.
And so I encourage you to try that out. Definitely go to the show notes. And if you're on YouTube, leave some comments there. I would specifically like to hear what has worked for you. So with that, we do have another cartoon this week. We started with some cartoons for our quote of the week. And so this says, I like it. This guy's talking to his boss and says, I need a pay raise. 3 other companies are after me. And he says, really? Which 3? And he says, the electric company, the mobile phone company, and the credit card company. In other words, he's behind on his bills. And so I think that's kind of funny. So anyhow, I do encourage you to consider, hey, should you be getting a pay raise? because there's nothing like doing the same work and getting paid more for it. And all God's people said, amen.
Yep.
Okay, tell everybody what we'll talk about next week on October 25th, the last episode of this great month of October.
Crazy. All right. So next week we're talking about 5 steps to become a competent investor.
Yeah. So we know people love talking about investing. We love talking about investing. We're going to talk about 5 steps you can take to become a competent investor. That equals a confident investor too.
Right.
So if you like today's episode, please get this podcast to other people who could benefit. You can email our email to others, forward it. You can also quickly
Who can't
make
talk
fun of me
now?
now. Quickly rate our podcast and leave a review. The ratings and reviews help us make the podcast better, helps other people discover it. And of course, if you've implemented any of our tips, share your success story with us by emailing it to info@iwbnin.com or sharing it with us on any of our social media platforms. And as we leave this, I encourage you to take time today to document all the ways you add value to your organization. And hey, if a necessary conversation needs to take place, have that. When you get a pay raise, send $1 to Megan. She'll gladly accept it. Have a great week, everybody.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Monday Money Tip Podcast, presented by I Was Broke, Now I'm Not. If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave a review and subscribe. And for more great content and to stay up to date, visit iwbnin.com. We'll catch you next time.